Have you ever wondered why some people absorb knowledge with ease while others seem to stall when it comes to learning? Is there a secret behind genius, or can anyone develop this ability? The truth is that learning is not a mystical gift granted to a privileged few, but a system that can be understood, improved, and applied. Throughout history, great minds such as Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, and Marie Curie did not limit themselves to a single area of knowledge. They were polymaths, individuals who mastered multiple disciplines and connected them to generate innovations. But is there still room for this kind of versatile mind in an increasingly specialized and segmented world? From an early age, we are encouraged to choose a single path. The question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" suggests that we should limit ourselves to a single professional identity. However, this rigid view doesn't match today's reality. It's never been easier to learn something new, but at the same time, it's never been harder to stay focused. We live surrounded by constant distractions and an excess of superficial information, which prevents us from delving deeper into any knowledge. The real challenge, therefore, lies not in the lack of opportunities, but in the way we structure our learning. The first step to becoming a modern polymath is to change your mindset. Many people believe that intelligence and talent are fixed, that some are born gifted with extraordinary abilities while others will never reach that level. But neuroscience research shows that the human brain is highly adaptable. Neuroplasticity proves that we can learn and relearn throughout our lives as long as we adopt the right approach. Carol Dweck, in her studies on growth mindset, has shown that those who believe that intelligence can be developed have better results in any area of knowledge. The great polymaths of history intuitively understood this principle. They saw no boundaries between disciplines, only possibilities. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, explored anatomy, engineering, astronomy, and art with the same intensity, recording his discoveries in notebooks that anticipated scientific advances centuries ahead of their time. This uncontrollable desire to understand the world is an essential characteristic of a polymath mind. But curiosity alone is not enough. You need to develop a fundamental concept, intellectual humility. The more you learn, the more you realize how much remains to be discovered. This explains the Dunning-Kruger effect, a psychological phenomenon that reveals that people with little knowledge tend to overestimate their abilities, while true experts recognize their own limitations and never stop learning. A polymath doesn't see himself as a genius, but as an eternal learner, someone who understands that knowledge is infinite and that each new discovery opens doors to countless others. However, learning involves an inevitable factor: making mistakes. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a fundamental stage in the process. Thomas Edison tested thousands of materials before perfecting the incandescent light bulb. He wasn't the first to invent it, but his work made the technology viable for commercial use. When asked about his failures, he reportedly said, "I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways that don't work." That's the polymath mentality. Every mistake is a new learning opportunity, not an obstacle. In today's video, we're going to explore the principles that make someone a modern-day polymath. We'll talk about mindset, learning strategies, how to connect different areas of knowledge, and how technology can accelerate this process. If you've ever tried to learn something new and given up halfway through, this video could transform your view of learning forever. After all, learning is not just about consuming information, but developing the ability to apply it creatively and continuously. Genius is not just a question of intelligence, but of strategy and persistence. The path to becoming a polymath requires not only curiosity, but also habits that support efficient learning. However, there is a crucial factor that many overlook: the importance of the body and routine in cognitive performance. The brain does not operate in isolation. It depends on a suitable environment, restful sleep, a balanced diet and time management to function at its full potential. And no matter how much we talk about learning techniques, without these basics, any effort will be wasted. Sleep, for example, is one of the most underrated elements in learning. Research from Harvard University indicates that sleeping well strengthens memory consolidation and improves the ability to solve complex problems. During deep sleep, the brain processes and organizes acquired information, transforming it into solid knowledge. On the other hand, sleep deprivation drastically reduces concentration and content retention, making studying less efficient. In addition, diet directly influences cognitive performance. Nutrients such as omega-3, antioxidants, and B vitamins have a direct impact on brain plasticity and information processing speed. Small adjustments to the routine, such as avoiding ultra-processed foods and prioritizing meals rich in protein and healthy fats, can bring significant improvements in learning. Another common mistake is to believe that there is no time to learn something new. The problem is rarely a lack of time, but the way in which it is used. Many people spend hours consuming passive entertainment or immersed in social media without realizing how much time they are wasting. Studies on time management show that small windows of daily learning are much more effective than sporadic study marathons. This is because the brain assimilates information better when exposed to it at regular intervals. Techniques such as interleaved learning, where you switch between different areas of knowledge, are especially effective for those seeking to become polymaths, as they increase the ability to establish connections between different disciplines. Active practice is another determining factor. Many people make the mistake of studying passively, just reading or watching videos without applying what they have learned. But understanding something intellectually doesn't mean you'll be able to use it in practice. This is why many people spend years studying a language without being able to communicate fluently. Real learning takes place when you are actively involved, whether it's writing, teaching someone, or solving practical problems. Richard Feynman, one of the most brilliant physicists of the 20th century, used a simple but extremely effective method. He explained complex concepts as if he were teaching them to a child. This forced him to identify gaps in his understanding and consolidate his knowledge clearly and objectively. In addition, retaining information is one of the greatest challenges in learning. Psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus has shown that without reinforcement, we forget around 70% of new information within 24 hours. To avoid this, techniques such as spaced revision are essential. Instead of reviewing everything at once, spread the reviews out over time to strengthen the neural connections and make the knowledge last longer. Another powerful method is active recall, where you try to remember information without consulting the original material. This technique has been proven to increase retention and improve understanding of the content. But learning isn't just about memorizing. A polymath not only accumulates knowledge, but uses it to create and solve problems. The ability to integrate different types of knowledge is what differentiates someone who just studies from someone who really innovates. Great minds in history, such as Da Vinci and Benjamin Franklin, explored several areas simultaneously, and it was precisely this interdisciplinary approach that allowed them to develop revolutionary ideas. Today, this skill has become even more valuable. In a world where information is accessible to all, the competitive advantage lies not in knowing more, but in connecting better. Discipline is also an essential factor. Many people start learning with enthusiasm, but give up when faced with the first difficulties. The difference between a polymath and someone who abandons the path lies in consistency. The 1% better everyday rule shows that small daily improvements, accumulated over time, generate extraordinary progress. If you improve 1% a day, at the end of a year, you will have evolved 37 times more than you did at the beginning. This shows that the real secret lies not in the intensity of the momentary effort, but in persistence. Now that we understand how to optimize learning and avoid the most common mistakes, it's time to tackle the next step, turning knowledge into something practical and lasting. The real difference between those who learn efficiently and those who just consume information without assimilating it lies in the way knowledge is processed and applied. The most common mistake is to believe that simple exposure to content is enough to absorb it. But learning doesn't just mean memorizing. It means understanding, relating, and transforming information into something useful. The big question is not how much you study, but how you study. Many people spend hours reading or watching videos on a particular subject, but can't remember the content after a few days. This is because the brain is not designed to passively store large amounts of information. To really learn, you need to challenge your mind to actively retrieve and apply knowledge. Active recall is one of the most effective methods for strengthening retention and consolidating learning. Unlike simple revision, this technique requires the person to try to remember the information without consulting the original material. This can be done by answering questions, writing summaries from memory, or explaining the concept to someone. This mental effort strengthens neural connections and reduces forgetfulness, making knowledge more accessible in the long term. Research shows that those who use this method significantly improve their learning capacity compared to those who only review passively. Another powerful approach is interleaved learning, which consists of switching between different topics or areas of study within the same session. This method challenges the brain to make connections between different concepts, promoting a deeper understanding. Great innovators have always applied this logic to their learning. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, didn't study art in isolation. He explored anatomy, physics, and engineering at the same time, which allowed him to develop innovative artistic techniques and revolutionize the field of painting. This strategy can be applied to any field. Combining different disciplines stimulates creative thinking and expands the ability to solve problems in an original way. As well as variety in learning, consistency is essential. Many people abandon studying something new because they don't see immediate progress. This is because we tend to overestimate what we can learn in a few days and underestimate what we can achieve with continuous effort. Small daily advances accumulated over time generate exponential results. This principle is the basis of continuous improvement and applies to any skill from learning a language to developing logical reasoning. However, maintaining consistency in learning requires a structured system. Relying solely on motivation is a mistake, as motivation is volatile. What really guarantees progress is the creation of well-defined study habits. Techniques such as learning scheduling, setting fixed times to study, even for short periods, help to make studying part of your routine. An effective method for this is habit stacking, which consists of associating learning practice with an activity already established in everyday life. If someone is already in the habit of having breakfast at the same time every day, they can use this time to revise content, making learning automatic and sustainable. Another important factor is the study environment. The human brain is sensitive to distractions, and chaotic environments drastically reduce the ability to concentrate. Studies show that even small interruptions, such as cell phone notifications, can affect information retention as they force the mind to restart the attention process. Adjusting the environment to minimize distractions, such as studying in quiet places or using apps that temporarily block social networks, can increase productivity and make learning more effective. Finally, teaching what you learn is one of the most effective ways of consolidating knowledge. The Feynman method, developed by physicist Richard Feynman, is based on the idea that if you can't explain a concept in a simple way, it's because you haven't fully understood it yet. The practice of teaching someone else forces the brain to organize and simplify information, making it clearer and more accessible. This transforms passive learning into an active experience, reinforcing content retention and improving the ability to apply knowledge in different contexts. With these strategies, learning anything becomes a structured and efficient process. However, knowledge alone is not enough. The real difference for a polymath is not just in accumulating information, but in connecting different areas of knowledge and applying them in innovative ways. Learning something new is not enough if the knowledge remains isolated. The true difference of a polymath lies in the ability to connect ideas and see patterns between different areas of knowledge. Innovation rarely comes from a single field of knowledge. Most of the time, great advances happen when different concepts meet. Great minds in history not only mastered multiple disciplines, but also knew how to combine them in unexpected ways. Leonardo da Vinci revolutionized art by applying his knowledge of anatomy, engineering, and optics to create paintings with unprecedented depth and realism. Richard Feynman combined music and physics to explain quantum concepts in an accessible way. Steve Jobs incorporated design and typography into the development of the Macintosh graphic interface, forever changing the way we interact with computers. Interdisciplinary thinking is not just a differentiator, but a powerful tool for solving problems in innovative ways. Modern society, however, still values extreme specialization, limiting many people to a single domain of knowledge. This fragmented model may be efficient for specific tasks, but it also restricts creativity and innovation. Neuroscientist David Epstein, in his book, Range: Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World, argues that those who explore multiple areas and acquire a varied range of experiences have a greater ability to solve complex problems than those who follow a linear learning path. This is because different disciplines offer unique perspectives, and when combined, create solutions that isolated specialists would be unlikely to see. The ability to connect knowledge from different fields requires more than curiosity. You need to develop associative thinking, which allows you to establish relationships between seemingly unconnected ideas. Albert Einstein himself highlighted this principle when he said that creativity is nothing more than connecting the dots. Studies on creativity show that individuals who study varied subjects and seek out diverse experiences have a greater ability to formulate innovative solutions. This is because their brains create broader networks of knowledge, making it easier to associate concepts in an original way. In addition, metaphor and analogy are fundamental tools for strengthening these connections. Great thinkers often use metaphors to translate complex ideas into more accessible concepts. Einstein, for example, used the image of an elevator in free fall to illustrate the theory of relativity. Darwin explained evolution using the metaphor of the tree of life. These methods not only facilitate understanding, but also stimulate new ways of thinking, allowing abstract ideas to be applied concretely in different contexts. Another effective strategy for expanding interdisciplinary thinking is to learn multiple subjects simultaneously. Instead of studying a single subject in isolation, interspersing different areas of knowledge challenges the brain to find relationships between them. A programmer who studies psychology, for example, can better understand user behavior and develop more intuitive interfaces. An artist who learns neuroscience can improve their perception of colors and shapes to create works that generate emotional impact. Innovation is born from this integration. But acquiring knowledge in several areas is not enough. The real difference lies in knowing how to apply this learning in a practical way. Many polymaths stood out because they transferred solutions from one field to another. Nikola Tesla combined principles of electrical engineering and physics to create inventions that seemed straight out of science fiction. Da Vinci applied water flow studies to design hydraulic systems and develop engineering innovations. The ability to extract ideas from one field and apply them to another is what turns knowledge into something powerful and useful. However, there is a common obstacle that prevents many people from exploring multiple areas: the belief that learning different subjects can be confusing or lead to a lack of focus. This idea arises from the traditional model of teaching, which rigidly separates subjects. But the reality is that the human brain is designed to learn in an integrated way. From childhood, we make spontaneous connections between experiences and acquired knowledge, and this ability remains present throughout life. When a polymath learns something new, he doesn't just add isolated information to his repertoire, but expands his knowledge network, becoming capable of creating more comprehensive solutions. Understanding how to integrate different areas of knowledge is one of the most important steps towards becoming a versatile and innovative thinker. However, knowledge only becomes truly valuable when it is shared and applied in the real world. Knowledge has never been as accessible as it is today. In the past, learning something new required years of dedication, access to rare books, and the guidance of masters. Nowadays, anyone with access to the internet can study almost any subject, free of charge and without limits. But paradoxically, it has never been easier to get lost in a sea of superficial information. Many people spend hours consuming content, but few apply this knowledge in a practical way. This is where the difference lies between those who merely accumulate information and those who actually turn learning into action. True mastery of knowledge does not lie in the amount of content consumed, but in the ability to use that learning strategically. Technology can be a great ally or an obstacle. It gives us access to courses, lectures, and books, but it also distracts us with constant notifications and algorithms that prioritize immediate entertainment. The real challenge is to use it consciously. Tools such as digital flashcards, artificial intelligence, and interactive platforms make it possible to optimize learning and reinforce essential concepts. But without a clear direction, technology becomes a bottomless pit where time slips away without anything really being absorbed. Learning to filter information and consume content with intent is an essential skill in the digital age. As well as consuming knowledge, you need to record and share it. The Zettelkasten system, used by great thinkers and writers, allows you to organize ideas in an interconnected way, creating a mental map of learning. Instead of just writing down information, the method encourages connections between different concepts, generating new perspectives. By applying this technique, a polymath not only learns faster, but also develops more structured thinking. The habit of writing down what you learn also reinforces retention and improves clarity of thought. However, the most important step in this whole process is to turn knowledge into something real. Learning only becomes meaningful when it is applied to a project, a real-world problem, or shared with others. Many of the greatest innovations came about when someone decided to test an idea in a different context. History shows that the greatest advances happen when knowledge leaves the theoretical field and becomes something concrete. Technology, science, art, and even the most abstract concepts only impact the world when someone puts them into practice. And here comes a crucial point: the culture of action. Many people put off projects because they feel they don't know enough yet, but the truth is that nobody ever feels completely ready. The ideal moment to start something never arrives because there is always more to learn. The only way to validate knowledge is by testing, making mistakes, adjusting, and evolving. Waiting until you feel ready means never taking the first step. The polymaths of history didn't wait until they knew everything about a subject before applying it. They learned while doing. If you've followed this content this far, you're already way ahead of the majority. Most people consume knowledge passively and rarely apply what they learn, but if you've got this far, it's because you really want to evolve. Now the next step is in your hands. Think of a skill or topic you've always wanted to master and start an active process to make it part of your life. It doesn't have to be huge. Small daily advances generate significant transformations over time, and in order to keep bringing you content that adds value, I need your support. If this video has contributed to your journey, please consider supporting the channel with any amount. Your help strengthens this work and allows more content like this to reach more people. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This shows the algorithm that this content is relevant and gives more people access to it. Now I want to know, what's the next skill you want to master? Leave your comment below. Maybe your answer will inspire other people to start too. And if you want to continue exploring this world of learning, there's a video on the screen now that could expand your vision even further. See you there.